So in this video, we'll see the importance of equals method and hash code method. So we'll say it is method. Now to demonstrate this, let's say if I let me create a class and we'll go with the same class name which is employee. Now in this employee class, I have two variables. One is int, let's say eid, and we have a string which will say it is ename. So now we have two variables here, eid and ename. Now in order to create those objects, we'll require a constructor. So we'll pass the values when you create the object. So we'll create a parameterized constructor here and we'll say it is int eid, I will say just id, comma. It will give you two things, we'll say string name, and we'll assign those values to eid is equal to id, and we have ename is equal to name. So once you assign the value, so we need to pass those values first here. So let me create, instead of creating one object, let me create two objects. The first object here, we'll say it is emp, and we'll name this as obj1 equal to new emp, and we'll pass two values. So we'll say 1 comma, we'll say it's Navin. And let me create one more object which is obj2 equal to new emp, and this time we'll say it is 5, say Karan. So now we have these two names here, or two objects, one is Navin and Karan. Now in order to check, now what we'll do is we'll try, first we'll print this. So to print, what we'll do is we'll use the inbuilt toString method which provided by an Eclipse. So if we can just use Eclipse here to give me that method. So we'll say source, so source is here, and what I need is we need to generate toString for both the variables, and the method is just I need a toString method, and we'll say okay. So you can see we are getting a toString method here. We'll not do any changes in this. We'll say directly it will say toString. Now if I print both the objects, let me print both the objects, we'll say system.out.println. If I print obj1 here, if I say obj1, and the next system.out.println will print obj2. So if I run this now, if I say run as Java application, you can see we are getting the output, and output is it is eid1, it's Navin, and we are getting the class name. So both the classes are same, and we are getting a hash code. So you can see for both the object we are getting two different hash codes. Okay. Now what I want is I need to compare these two objects. Now what I mean by compare is if so every object by default will have a equals method. So this equals method come from the object class. So we can say obj1 dot equals obj2. If this is a scenario, I will print here, I will say system dot out dot println. In this scenario, what I will print is they are, or just will print equal. Okay, and else will print system dot out dot println, and here we'll say not equal, and we close semicolon. So if they are equal, we'll print equals. If they are not equal, we'll print not equal. And obviously, if I run this code now, the first it will print the hash code with the values, and last it will print not equal, and which is logical, right? But what if I have two objects with the same values? So both are one Navin and one Navin. So they are equal, right? So they have the same values. But if I run this code now, if I say run as application, and the answer is still not equal, you will say how is possible? Both have ID1, both have name Navin, but both have two different hash code. So when you say you need to say equals, it also check for the hash code, and that's the problem. So how to compare this? First, we need to say don't compare just with the help of hash code. First, you need to compare this with the help of IDs. If both have the same ID and same name, there's a chance that they are equal. In order to do that, we don't have to implement, we don't have to use the equal method of object class. So we need to override that method which is equals. We need to also override a method which is called as hash code. Is because when two objects are equal, their hash code should be same. Now how exactly that we can do, that we'll see in the next part.